Today's news video is a classic. I have games, campaigns that are out right now that I want to show you, some updates to those, some big updates actually, which is kind of cool, plus a whole new look at some new campaigns that I haven't shown before. Additionally, I have some news, some announced games, campaigns coming up. There's a whole host of things, including some talking points. We're talking about Petersen Games, some prototypes around what those actually mean and when you see them, what you should be thinking, all sorts of stuff coming up right now. All right, now before we get into the wide range that is today's video, I want to be sure to thank the sponsor of today's video, Into the AM. They have amazing shirts just like this one. I wear these all the time. As you guys know, they fit nice, they feel nice, they're great quality stuff. They actually have a huge sale going on right now, and with my code, you can save 10% on top of that sale for an additional 10% off everything in their store. Right here, just real quick, this is what they dropped in June alone, and even then, there was actually more variety than just this when it comes to other types of shirts besides just the graphic tees. That's all this is showing. So graphic tees like this, they have a whole host of stuff here. If you go to their website, of course, they are having a 4th of July sale, 30% off. I have that shirt they just showed. It is my favorite button-up shirt. Feels so good. 30% off, but again, you could save 10% on top of that for a total of 40% off with my code down in the description below. And additionally, there is a bigger sale going on too. So they always just add such great stuff. They got plain tees, they got polos, they got shorts, they got these amazing everyday pants. Those are so good. The graphic tees you've seen, so that's fantastic. They also have an 80% off clearance sale. So if you want to grab something that they've not done it in a while because they don't always do reprints. So sometimes what you see, this is your chance to get it. Look at that. They have a painting shirt right there. Fantastic. Super awesome. They have so much. And again, save 10% on top of that with that code down in the description below. Save yourself some money. Show some support to a great company that has supported this channel for a long time. Thank you, Into the AM, and let's get into it. All right. So first things first, we have Tsukuyumi Amaterasu Rising. What this is it's a 2.5 reprint. So if you have the original, you're going to want the update, obviously. And then they added the Amaterasu Rising, which essentially adds kaiju. So like you literally have essentially a Godzilla there as well. So this is by Gray Fox Games. So it's being run by King Raccoon Games here. And yeah, this is something that the people who got it love it. Like the gameplay, my understanding is the gameplay is pretty good. All the factions act a lot differently. This is very much an indie game. The theme is very unique. It's very cool for sure. The dude's on a map. It's definitely the kind of game I think I'd be interested in. The one problem I have with it is the fact that when I say indie, that can mean a few different things. What I mean here is the quality is a bit lower than I would like. So they have an amazing campaign here, I feel, with like animations and showing you exactly what you want and how to pick it and all that. And the all in of everything is like €280, which I don't think is that bad for 2 campaigns worth of stuff, right? So there's definitely a lot there. They have just the returning pack if that's all you want, or they even have an updated storage solution. Like they really did well here, I think. One of the problems I have is these renders that they do. So they do these like renders where, you know, you have this like 3D render of the miniature, but it doesn't equate very well. I've always had a problem with it and they never fix it. Like how tiny those legs are. Obviously, the final miniature didn't end up that way, and now they know it doesn't look anything like that, and yet they still show the render, so that's kind of a problem. For instance, this guy here, if you want to see, this is by Board Online, Board Offline. They did a little unboxing here. They don't show everything. Here's an example of one of these minis, though. Now, this is an organic miniature, so it's supposed to be a little soft, but this is soft even on top of that. Very soft plastic, a little bit softer details. They're colored, which means they don't show well that way. Just... If the quality was higher, I think I'd actually probably dive into it. It actually looks pretty cool gameplay-wise, but at the end of the day, I'm buying a physical product, and so that's where my struggle is there. Here's the Amaterasu Rising. There's the Godzilla-like one you get, but as you see, you get these little kaiju people that you can add, which is pretty neat, of course. So definitely interesting. The upgrade pack has just new faction sheets and, codexes and rulebooks and whatnot. So, yeah, it looks pretty nice. Again, it's raised 167,000, almost 168,000, over 1,000 backers. That's always good to see. And still 12 days to go. This, along with everything else, is of course linked in the description for you. So right after that, into the AM sponsored link there, you'll see the links to everything I'm going to be showing today and more. All right, so following that, we have Odalin Dungeons of Doom. Last I covered this, I did a review for it, did an unboxing for it. Here's the actual campaign. As you can see, they've actually raised over $1 million, over 4,000 backers, and still 12 days to go. So we're at $1,159,127 exactly as of time of recording, obviously. If you back now during the campaign, you do get a free gift. So you get this Karun Master of Thousand Faces, which looks pretty cool. So he's definitely pretty neat. Obviously, this being done by Dragory Games means they'll have a painted miniature option. And you know, it's not like it's the best painting ever, though. For the pre-painted board games, in my opinion, they're actually pretty good. It's more the fact that when you're buying these, you know, physical products, you want the physical product to be really nice. And getting painted minis certainly adds to that for sure. So they have all this stuff here, right? They have the 5-month delivery window guarantee after it reaches the hub, right? They have the stable pledge. They have the stretch pay for 7 installments, so that helps a little bit. They're saying that for 2 years it won't have a reprint, and this won't be at retail, except for retail stores that back this, obviously. So they, you know, again, I think it's a pretty good campaign page in that regard. I think, as always, there could be more focus on gameplay. But even here, right, it like starts with some of the differentiators right now when it comes to pairing the demon attacks. So pretty good, honestly. If we go to the stretch goals here, you can see exactly what they've been doing. One of the things that was kind of a smart, easy way to do things is you have these like demon forms that are like really cool that you get to turn into, but they made it to where you can actually fight them as enemies, which is kind of cool. So if you're not playing with that demon, then you can actually fight against that demon. I think that's pretty neat. It could be slightly confusing, except if you're in the campaign, you're not playing as that demon, then obviously you don't have to worry about like confusing that demon for somebody that would normally be a good person. So that's pretty cool. This is one of the biggest ones they did, was an Act 2 boss that they added, this demonic centaur. So that's pretty cool. He looks awesome. Obviously, he's got some huge weapons. They give him wings even and stuff like that, hence the demonic portion of it. So that's pretty neat. They do have this bandit leader with this kind of interesting double blade thing going on there. And of course, a few other things as well, including another trap. They're around 10,000 short of adding this new trap miniature. So that's kind of where they're at right now. Very cool to see them do well here. This is definitely what a lot of people are going to because they've given up on Storm Sunder. It's just part of the theme there, I think. Next up is Skytear Horde campaigns. They are at 218,000, still 4 days left, so not quite at the last 2 days there. But again, that's at time of recording. By the time you see this, they're probably about the last 3 days here. So feel free to check it out in the description below. Of course, for a link to that is by Skytear Games. This is pretty cool. It adds a campaign version of their classic card game that they do. That it's very much solo or co-op, but either way, it's not a card game that you're fighting against each other, which is inherently less common than a lot of card games. So that's kind of cool to see. They have a reprint of everything else, of course, a nice box to store everything in. So if you're into the system, this is definitely what to get. If you're new to the system, this is not a bad one to jump into. They are at almost 2,000 backers, so very nice to see that as well. All right, following that, we have Blood. Blood has continued to progress. This is by Ludus Magnus Studio. And it's almost at €500 now, which is actually pretty nice. 2,500 backers, also a very respectable number. They're actually doing pretty darn well. This kind of circusy kind of look to it definitely changes things. It's definitely a unique style, and I appreciate the unique style of it. Of course, that box is absolutely gorgeous. The minis, at least the renders, look very nice. The minis should be fairly nice, above average quality, I would say. And they're doing the two-tone stuff that they've been doing for a while now. And the all-in get everything is €299. But then they have the all-in gameplay, which is at around €209, which actually isn't too bad at all. So that's kind of nice to see. If we go to their stretch goals, you see that they're doing daily ones now, and the daily ones are these big ones, right? Like these are obviously minis that they're adding, which is pretty cool. And then their unlocks are stuff like, you know, new cards and whatnot. Now, this guy, he's pretty cool. I love the colors. That would be awesome to paint. I think that's cool. This is, It's either Jeremy or Jerome, depending on how you want to look at it, I guess, the maker. And again, would be super fun to paint this kind of weird fat clown guy. But they have a whole host of others. They got assassins. They have the 3 graces here. They have imps that they've added, right? They have this Igor. Now, notice how better this stretch goal is when it comes to being finalized versus, you know, say this one, which just has some art, right? So obviously, you know, this has more pizzazz to it. This has more, you know, oomph to it when it's just art. If nothing else, there's nothing really down here. And this is something Awakened Realms does really well in their campaigns, where they add a whole bunch of stuff down here closer to this one, where you actually get to really see what it is you're getting here, right? It's not even just a miniature. It's all this other stuff too. Very cool to see. And I wish more campaigns would do that more often, as opposed to just, here's some art real quick. This is what you unlocked. I do a little bit more effort there is kind of nice. But either way, they're doing pretty good here. So that's awesome. It definitely looks pretty darn cool. That's for sure. All right, next up we have DC United is coming out here soon, on July 10th, actually. I'm obviously very excited about this, being a huge DC fan, and it looks pretty cool, of course. They did add a few things here. Really, the only thing they've added here to this page is some other channels. Man vs. Meeple and the One Stop Co-op Shop have some previews. So they were actually able to get a prototype and be able to kind of play it and tell you about it. So feel free to check those videos out. Again, I'll link down to this campaign page, which will then link you to the videos if you're wanting to see a little bit about what it's about. All right, next up we have Terrorscape Putrefied Enmity. Enmity, I can never say that. It's fine. It's whatever. 2 days until this comes out, pretty much. So right around 2 days, because in the 17-hour mark, that's about when you'll see this video. So Terrorscape's coming out. They did add some more information here as well. So they have this Sun Drop miniature set, which is interesting. It's limited to 300 sets. I have no idea why, except I don't know if it's this artificial limitation or what, but either way, 300 people will get that. It definitely looks fairly nice, that's for sure. These foil cards look amazing. Love this. Love this. I think I would love more card games to have foil. I understand a lot of people don't like them. I understand often they can curve and stuff like that. I don't care. They look fantastic. And I want it to look fantastic when I'm playing it, not necessarily 5 years later. I mean, obviously I want it to look good 5 years later too, I suppose, I guess. But really, it's so cool. It's something unique for cards that I really, really enjoy. I love foil cards. It just feels better to get them. And these are these ultimate cards too, so it makes sense. I love it. I wish more card games would do this. Now, they haven't shown these killers yet, but you can see a lot of the new miniatures here. Again, they look kind of sun-dropped. It's obviously just a coloration on the render here. But either way, you can see those. And then here's the new map, the Tomb, as well. Actually looks pretty cool. I think they've done a smart job expanding this, so that's cool. All right, next up, Heroes of Might and Magic 3. I just wanted to show you these pictures here because it shows these new expansions. You're getting the Stronghold, the Conflux, and the Cove with some of the miniatures a bit more. So you can see a bit more of these 3 here in this preview versus the preview page. Again, link down in the description below. All right. Quimblies is what everybody knew Petersen Games was partnering with. That was on their Discord and stuff like that. They didn't have a great introduction. Most people's first interaction with Quimblies was being called a super nerd and being told that you need to go outside instead of fussing around the internet. I agree with the sentiment that I think the internet makes things seem bigger than they are in general, in concept. When it comes to people's money and being out money, I think belittling how much they care about that and not getting a product in return is probably not the best way to interact with them. That being said, I've spoken about that in previous videos. Again, if you want to see this kind of news coverage on the industry around how companies treat backers and stuff like that, feel free to subscribe. It's definitely what I focus on when it comes to this, not just showing you new product. I'm not just a salesman for you to buy stuff from these companies, but actually critique the industry and really talk about it and hopefully guide it to a better place where we treat backers well. Imagine that. Anyway, they've backed with Petersen Games, obviously. Now, they have all of like their stock in here. And I guess my problem here is how bad business this is. What you're seeing here is a lot of SKUs. Now, granted, this is over quite a few different campaigns. But I almost don't care about that because some of it is the amount of campaigns that they had too, right? Like Petersen Games sucked at business. And so the fact that they're out of business and back to designing is good, as long as that designing doesn't lead to the same issue that they have here. Look at how much stock they had. This is ridiculous. That's just stupid. Like that's an entire like game store's worth for just one company. So yeah, that's definitely a lot. That being said, if you were looking for something, Quimbly's, as far as I can tell, seems to be pretty legit, and this is actual stock, so you can definitely look at that. Now, one of the other things they have here, if it load up, is some news and updates where they talk a lot about prototypes and sending product out and stuff. One thing I want to make sure is clear, because they look at the prototype, look how pretty the prototype is, right? As somebody who's received a lot of prototypes, and as somebody who looks into this industry a little bit deeper than at a superficial level on product and how much it costs and whether you should get it or not. Prototypes are often, not always, either one or the other. They're either way worse than the final product or often way better than the final product. The reason is because you make them fundamentally different. For instance, miniatures. Any miniature you see in a prototype is almost always resin. And the reason is because when you make prototypes, you're not making 10 million copies of it, right? You're not making 10,000 plus copies of it. Once you get to that high range, you do mass injection of plastic into steel molds, or you can use other materials besides steel, often steel because of how detailed it gets and how long it can last and the cooling rate of it. And it's a whole host of things. Anyway, you make those out in China and then ship them out, or in Quimbly's case, in America. Either way, typically the technology is about the same, right? So that is for mass scale productions, and it keeps the costs down on mass scale productions. You're not doing that for prototypes. So fundamentally, the entire way that you make the product is different for prototypes. You're interested in how fast you can make it and that it's not too expensive per copy, right? And that often leads to varying degrees of quality. So again, for miniatures, it's often resin, often even 3D printed at this point, which again is just not representative of the final form. Now, you guys watching my channel that have subscribed for a while have seen a lot of my prototype unboxings. You know this already, that what you're seeing isn't exactly what it's going to be, because when it comes to actually manufacturing, these are different. In fact, one of Quimbly's first examples, or one of Petersen Games' first examples of Quimbly's changes, is making their fancy 3D models and 3D prints able to be mass produced by changing how the sculpt is fundamentally to be less parts, because you have to separate the parts and have these plastic channels that the liquid plastic can run into the other and then fill that in under pressure and all this other stuff. So like, I guess what I'm saying is it's cool that they're prototyping it. It's cool that there's real work going on. I appreciate that. But they make it seem like, look how amazingly beautiful this is, because it's their product. It's literally their company, and it's what they do, right? It's almost written in kind of an advertisement kind of form. Just know that that doesn't necessarily mean that's what you're going to get. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be bad. Just that is not a causation there, right? That's not oh my gosh, look how beautiful this prototype is. How these early manufactured differently, often, not always, materials are. That's definitely going to be what I'm going to get. Just don't expect that. Come On showed off Metal Gear Solid, the board game, which is super cool to see that it's actually being made. It is unfortunate that they're colored plastics. Colored plastics, again, I mentioned this in the Full Moon Down one, is like it hides a lot of the detail. Doesn't mean the detail's not there. I think these miniatures, especially the 3D print or the 3D sculpted terrains and stuff, and even like the Metal Gear Rex there, I think, is it Rex? Either way, the Metal Gear there is awesome. Like, it's really, really good. But it'll hide in that light, like red the most, a little bit in the light blue as well. A dark gray is seriously ideal for plastics, like a dark gray, not even a light gray. A darker gray. You just see detail better when it's unpainted. Painted, it'll look whatever. When you prime it, it'll look whatever. But the colored plastic, I get that it's for the gameplay of it, but for the quality of the miniature, it doesn't look quite as good. Now, I did want to update this real quick. This is my fundraiser. I know I haven't talked about it in a while, and I apologize for that. There's been a few things that's been going on in my life that I've been dealing with that I feel I'm always behind on. The fundraiser being one of many of those things. I do apologize for that. I don't want to complain or make excuses or anything like that. I guess I'll just say that this move and how sudden it was came at a high cost that I'm still dealing with when it comes to a whole host of things. Between that and some family stuff, I am working on it, I promise. I did make some progress last weekend. I spent several hours going through and making sure I had the games that I needed to. For the most part, those are organized. Some of the ones like the Tenaris packs that I have to still be itemized a little bit more. Once I do that and actually go through the Excel sheet and check it off, then I'll actually have, okay, I have everything from the move that I can now assign them out and actually ship them out promptly. So anyway, I do apologize. I know it's been a while. I feel very bad about it. I feel bad about most of the things I'm behind on, and sadly, there's quite a few right now. I'm doing my best while still keeping up the channel, going to my normal work, all that other kind of stuff, spending time with family. I apologize, I guess is what I'm saying there, but I am putting effort in when I can. All right, finally, here is the Gamefound page. They've changed the layout a lot. Made this to where you just kind of see two in a row here, and there's like this like featured section. I don't know how that necessarily gets there. And then they have Explorer where you can, determine how you're seeing it. It's by the like magic thing in Kickstarter, the what you may like, but then you can do active, ending soon, accepting stretch pay and stuff. There's a spotlight here, but this is so small. I don't know how helpful that is. And like there's several things of Odalin, like I don't even know what the start and funded is right next to each other, which looks kind of silly. So I think there's some work that needs to be done there. Then they have a whole host of stuff here, which I guess kind of helpful. But again, everything is really small here, which I like. They're trying to cram so much in, and I appreciate that. But at the same time, I'm okay with it. It looks fine. The feature is kind of silly because I start seeing like things multiple times on the same, kind of like this, right? Where it's like, oh, here's blood. Oh, here's blood again, right? Oh, here's blood again. And so some of it's almost wasted because I see the same thing multiple times. So definitely some work to be done there. But otherwise, I'm actually okay. It's fine. It's fine. They got some nice scrolls and stuff like that. Now, upcoming. I've gone through a whole lot of this. In fact, I have 26 campaigns to look at. This will take some time to research, but it is an upcoming video where I'll show a lot of new stuff, some stuff coming up, and not just the Gamefound. I'm going through Kickstarter as well to definitely increase that 26 count. So it's going to be a big video. There's going to be a lot I'm going through. I'm going to distill it down. I don't show everything that's coming up. I think there's a lot of garbage out there on crowdfunding, and there's a lot of stuff I'm just not interested in that isn't garbage. And then there's the stuff that I think I would like or speak on that I think it might be interesting to you. And so I do kind of filter it down to you guys. So you'll see kind of the highlights of all of that research. But hopefully you like that. Again, if you're not subscribed, be sure to do that. The algorithm is still not showing all of my videos to everybody. I still get comments saying, I haven't seen your last few videos. What's up with that? That I can't help the YouTube algorithm. It just has to forgive me for my break, which it will eventually. But anyway, there's stuff coming up there. This is a whole nother video. Right here, you see at the very bottom here, they have top 10 rankings for both audience and funding, and that's it. I have a lot of comments on this. I'm not going to put it into this video. It'll be a whole tangent. It'll be worth a whole nother video because I'm going to dive into this around what this means, what this shows, what this highlights, what the industry is, what I feel they're missing, and more. So definitely stay tuned for that as well. It'll be a really fun video, but it can also be a very helpful tool for you to an extent. So I will talk through that, of course, coming up. Now, I talked about a whole lot of games coming up. I'll have a dedicated video to that. Don't worry. So that you'll see a whole host of campaigns. As an example, Monolith is doing a Berserk board game. Obviously, hugely excited about that. If you're wondering where most of the cool parts of Kingdom Death Monster came from, it's stolen directly from Berserk, along with several other things. There's Attack on Titan and a whole host of other anime and nerdy stuff that was shoved into and then made its own in Kingdom Death Monster. But Berserk definitely one of them. So if you don't know who Guts is, you're in for a treat. And what Monolith is going to do with the Berserk IP, I don't know, but I am pretty interested in it. Now, it is another IP game, which is kind of interesting as well. Either way, super excited. I'll link down to this for this one, but again, there will be a video upcoming showing a whole host of campaigns. So I hope you do enjoy that. Guys, thank you so much. I know this was a longer video. I try to cut them up a little bit shorter, but I wanted to do an old-fashioned. Here's a whole bunch of stuff for you guys where I dive in deep on some of these interesting things that are happening in the industry. If you enjoyed that, obviously subscribe and like the video. That does help. If you want to check out the sponsor of today's video, that was Into the AM, they're linked down below. Save yourself an extra 10% on that. They're having a big July 4th sale there, of course, also. Guys, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care. Bye, guys.